This is the day that the Lord has made. We ought to rejoice and be glad in it. Welcome back to our walk through the Word. We are still in the Gospel of Matthew at chapter number 6. I want us to look at verses 19 through verse 24. Matthew at chapter 6, verses 19 through verse 24. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye is single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. Like the people in Jesus' day, we are materialistic, we are greedy, avaricious, covetous, grasping, and manipulative. Because in our day we have so many things to do, so many places to go, so many things to attract us and to pull our attention away from the things of God and the spiritual things of life, that it's easy for us to always be trying to get things. We're always after that which the next person has, or we are trying to be like somebody down the street, or we are always grasping after this or reaching for that. And sometimes our reach is greater than our grasp. And so the economic problems that we have in the country and in the world, as a matter of fact, inflation and recession and depression, all of these have as their root greed. People are always after better. They're always after money. They're always after things. John R.W. Stott, a great Bible expositor, says worldly ambition has a strong fascination for us. The spell of materialism is very hard to break. The proper attitude towards things and possessions and what you own and what you have is expressed by Paul in 1 Timothy at chapter 6, verses 6 through verse 8. Let's look at that. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 6 through verse number 8. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. What Paul is saying is what you're basically going to get out of life is food and clothing, which is the basic necessities of life. You're going to get what you need, and then God is going to bless you to get some of the things that you want. And when God blesses you, you ought to have contentment with those things, because Paul says again, I've learned in whatever state I'm in to find myself content. And when we look at people who are always grasping, who are always reaching, they're never satisfied. Their eyes are never satisfied. Their hands are never satisfied because they're always looking for more. But he's talking about this matter of being satisfied with such things as we have. In verses 19 through 21, Jesus talks about a single treasure. Verses 19 through 21, a single treasure. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Lay up for yourselves. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth. That word lay up for yourselves is the word in the Greek for thesaurus. Treasures is the word in the Greek for thesaurus. Thesaurus, as you know, is a treasury of words. Paul says essentially, or Jesus rather says essentially, do not treasure up treasures for yourself. You know of people who are stockpiling money and stockpiling food, stockpiling clothing. As a matter of fact, they're almost hoarders because you go into their house and you can't move. You can't find anywhere to sit because they don't throw anything away. There's clothes everywhere. There's plates and pots and food everywhere. That's hoarding. That's stockpiling. That's laying up treasure. That's putting up stuff. And basically, you're not going to use those things. There's a whole lot of stuff that we have that we're never going to use. We are saving clothes until we lose weight, or we are saving money for a rainy day. You're never going to use those things. And God has given us everything for our use and for the kingdom's use. And if you lay up treasures on earth, moth will corrupt them and thieves will break through and steal them. The scripture says, where your treasure is, that's where your heart will be also. Not where your heart is, that's where your treasure is. But what you spend your money on, that's what you love the most. If you want to tell how much a person loves God and how close somebody is to God spiritually, look at the ledger in their checkbook. Check out what they do with their money. If their heartstrings are tied to their checkbook, if they are always after things and no consideration is given to the things of God, whatever you put your money towards, that's what you love the most. Now, not only does he talk about a single treasure, but in verses 22 and 23, he talks to us about a single vision. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? The light of the body is the eye, and the heart of the eye is the soul when it comes to us spiritually. If the eye is damaged or if the eye is diseased, then no light can get in the body. No, you can't see with a diseased eye or with a darkened eye. Likewise, if your heart is darkened, the eye represents a heart that is single-minded in devotion. If your heart is clouded with the things of this world, if it's clouded with everything that you see and you have no time for God, you're not single-minded in your devotion to God. And James says, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, not just in some of his ways, but in all of his ways. But verse 24 talks to us about a single master. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. That word mammon in the text is money or materialism. I have a cousin who lives in Austin, and one of my other cousins leaves this job and goes to another job and then leave that job and go to another job. And my cousin has a saying. He says, 2 jobs is for 2 people. If you're always running from this thing to that thing, you're living above your means. You can't serve 2 masters. You can't serve God and the spirit of this world. If God is your master, then you have to be singularly devoted to him. But if the world is your master, it's going to tell on you because it's a strange and harsh taskmaster. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you again on next week. God bless you.